The Baltimore Ravens just hit rock bottom in the most brutal way possible. Week 5 wasn't just a loss. It was a full-on humiliation at home against a Houston Texans team that, on paper, shouldn't have had the firepower to do what they did. A 44-10 beatdown in your own backyard, in front of your own fans, with chants of "Fire Harbaugh" echoing through the stadium. That's not just a bad game. That's a crisis. And here's where it gets even more frustrating. John Harbaugh finally spoke out after the disaster, and when asked point-blank about the status of defensive coordinator Zach Orr, he basically shrugged it off. He was asked whether changes to the defensive coaching staff were on the table. His answer? "I don't think that's the answer. We've got to go to work. We've got to stick together." That's the messaging. No accountability. No urgency. Just the same tired lines fans have heard before. Let's not sugarcoat it. The Ravens are now 1-4, and they've allowed 37 or more points in 4 of their first 5 games. This isn't just a fluke or a couple of missed tackles. This is a systemic breakdown. Zach Orr's defense looks completely lost. They can't stop the run, they can't get pressure consistently, and their coverage schemes are soft, predictable, and passive. Teams know exactly what's coming, and they're eating this defense alive. The Houston Texans came into this game ranked near the bottom of the league in third down and red zone efficiency, and they still lit up the Ravens' defense like it was nothing. Rookie quarterback C.J. Stroud had all day to throw. Nico Collins looked like a top 3 wideout. Even the Texans' offensive line, which has been shaky all year, had one of their best games of the season. And this Ravens defense? They responded with a grand total of 2 sacks. One of them was on a free rusher. The other was a chaotic play where Stroud basically ran into pressure. That's it. And it wasn't just the score. It was the way it all happened. There was no fight, no edge, no energy. This team came out flat, stayed flat, and got bullied from start to finish. When you're a franchise that has historically built its identity on defense, watching this kind of collapse is infuriating. Fans don't just expect better, they deserve better. Look, injuries are a factor. No one's denying that. The Ravens were missing Kyle Hamilton, Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Williams, and a handful of other key names. But let's be honest, every team in the league is banged up at this point. The San Francisco 49ers just beat the Rams with guys off the practice squad playing wide receiver. The Ravens can't use the injury excuse forever. Other teams find ways to compete. Baltimore is getting embarrassed. And let's be real about Harbaugh's comments. Saying the answer isn't to change the coaching staff sounds more like stubborn loyalty than leadership. What kind of message does that send to the locker room? To the fans? You get torched 4 out of 5 weeks, and the answer is, let's just keep grinding? That's not leadership, that's denial. At a certain point, someone has to be held accountable. This isn't a one-off. It's a trend. This is the second straight season where Zach Orr's defense has come out of the gate completely unprepared. Last year, they made some tweaks mid-season, and things got better. But this year, there's no sign of that happening. It's the same mistakes every week. Missed tackles, blown assignments, soft coverage, and zero killer instinct. That's on coaching. Period. And maybe Harbaugh's plan is to ride this out until the bye week and then make a change. Maybe behind closed doors, they're already talking about replacing Orr. But right now, all fans have to go on is what they see on Sundays and what they hear in pressers. And what they're seeing is a team spiraling and a coaching staff pretending everything's fine. This defense is on pace to be historically bad. The numbers are ugly. The Texans put up 27 first downs. They outgained the Ravens by over 200 yards. They converted time and time again on third down. And what's worse, they barely even had to punt. In fact, this is the second straight week where the Ravens' defense forced only 1 punt. Think about that. 20 opposing possessions across 2 games. 1 actual punt. That's pathetic. And you want to talk about turnovers? The last time this defense forced a turnover against a team not named the Cleveland Browns was Christmas Day of last year. And ironically, that was also against the Texans. It's been 10 months without a takeaway against a team outside the division. That's unacceptable. The attitude on the sideline. Just as bad. You could see the frustration bubbling. Veterans looking disinterested. Miscommunication everywhere. And then you had chants of "Fire Harbaugh" echoing from the stands. That's where we are now. This isn't just an underperforming team. This is a team that's lost the faith of its fan base. And honestly, you can't blame them. Baltimore fans show up every week. They bleed purple. They've been patient. But now, They're seeing a team that was hyped all offseason as a Super Bowl contender collapse right in front of them. This isn't about a bad day at the office. This is a franchise-defining moment. You want to talk about vibes? The vibes are absolutely horrendous right now. From Kyle Van Noy giving half-hearted press conference answers and saying questions about the coaches are above his pay grade, to players looking like they've already checked out. It doesn't feel like a team. It feels like a bunch of individuals going through the motions. And the scariest part? There's no sign of a leader stepping up. No Ray Lewis figure rallying the troops. No Ed Reed keeping people honest. It feels like a locker room in search of an identity. A coaching staff stuck in the past. A fan base getting angrier by the week. When you've got rookies like Malachi Starks and Trenton Simpson being asked to run your defense because nobody else is stepping up, that tells you everything you need to know. That's not development. That's desperation. And honestly, it's not fair to those young players. You're throwing them into chaos and asking them to fix a broken system. It's 5 weeks into the season, and the Ravens look like they've already lost their way. You don't want to be that team making desperate coaching changes mid-season, but at this point, what other option is there? You either make a move now, or you watch this season slip away completely. You wait until after the bye, and it might be too late. You could be sitting at 1-5, watching the rest of the AFC pull away. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Right now, this team looks insane. Every week, the same scheme, the same soft coverage, the same passive play calling. And every week, it blows up in their face. You can't just keep rolling out Zach and hoping for a miracle. Something has to change. Whether it's someone else on the staff, someone needs to answer for this. Because if they don't fix this fast, this season is going to be over by Halloween. And for a team that was supposed to be a Super Bowl contender, that's inexcusable. As if the loss itself wasn't brutal enough, what followed after the game might have been even more troubling for the Ravens. Not just what was said publicly, but how it was said. You can tell a lot about a team by the way its veterans talk in the aftermath of a loss like this. And right now, the messaging coming from inside the locker room is shaky at best and outright alarming at worst. These aren't just typical post-game cliches or frustration-fueled outbursts. This is a team that doesn't seem aligned, from the coaching staff down to the players. The cracks aren't just forming, they're wide open. Let's start with Kyle Van Noy. He was asked about whether the messaging from the coaches was getting through to the players, and his response said everything without really saying much at all. He hesitated, deflected, and ultimately said, "That's above my pay grade." When a veteran who's been around the league as long as Van Noy dodges that question, it raises serious red flags. Not just because he didn't give a clear answer, but because it felt like he didn't want to give one. That pause, that awkward delivery, it sounded like a guy biting his tongue. Like someone who doesn't fully believe in what's being said behind closed doors, but doesn't want to throw anyone under the bus publicly. Now, maybe he was just trying to be careful. Maybe he truly believes everything is fine, but didn't know how to express it. But in a moment like that, when your team just got humiliated at home, the lack of clarity is telling. If the locker room had full confidence in the message from the top, you'd hear that loud and clear. Instead, you got dodging and nervous body language. That's not leadership. That's damage control. And he's not the only one. Reports started swirling after the game about confusion on the field, especially on defense. Apparently, there were serious questions about who was wearing the green dot, the on-field communicator responsible for relaying calls from the sideline. Some players thought it was Teddy Buchanan. Others pointed to rookie Malachi Starks. When even your own team isn't sure who's calling the shots during live action, that's an organizational failure. That's not just bad communication. That's chaos. Think about how wild that is for a moment. In the middle of an NFL game, the players on the field didn't know who was actually leading the defense. That's not a problem you expect to hear from a championship-caliber team. That's something you expect from a bottom-tier rebuilding squad. And yet, here we are. A team that was supposed to be fighting for a Super Bowl berth is now dealing with basic operational breakdowns 5 weeks into the season. And the tone from John Harbaugh after the game didn't help either. His comments felt generic, uninspired, like someone trying to say the right things without really believing them. "We've got to stick together," he repeated. "We've got to go to work." But that's not a plan. That's not a solution. That's the kind of vague message you give when you're out of answers. Fans aren't stupid. They can see when a coach is just buying time instead of taking action. And right now, It feels like Harbaugh is stalling. This is a coach who's been in Baltimore for a long time. He's seen the highs, the lows, the rebuilds, the playoff pushes. But it's fair to ask if the message has gone stale. If the voice that once rallied this team to greatness no longer holds the same weight in the locker room. It happens to the best of them. Eventually, every coach hits a point where the players stop responding. The energy dips. The belief fades. And what's left is just noise. That's what this feels like, noise. Meanwhile, on the field, the body language from the players is just as bad. Heads down, shoulders slumped. Players looking lost or checked out. You can feel the tension, the disconnect. This doesn't look like a united front. It looks like a group that's going through the motions, waiting for someone else to fix the problem. But no one's stepping up. No one's taking the wheel. Even Lamar Jackson had to come out and clarify his actions after cameras caught him smiling on the sideline late in the game. Social media ran wild with the clips, accusing him of not caring or laughing during a blowout loss. Lamar responded quickly, saying the moment was taken out of context and that he wasn't laughing at the team or the score. And truthfully, that's believable. Anyone who knows Lamar knows he's not that guy. But the fact that he even had to defend himself at all shows you where this team is mentally. Everything is being picked apart. Every action, every reaction. The scrutiny is that intense because the product on the field is that bad. And fans have every right to be this critical. They were sold a vision during the offseason. A vision of a balanced team, a dominant defense, a creative offense under Todd Monken, a healthy Lamar leading a Super Bowl push. Instead, they've been handed a disorganized mess with no clear identity. The defense can't stop anyone. The offense has no rhythm. The coaching looks reactive instead of proactive. It's a meltdown in real time. You want a stat that captures just how bad this defense has been. Over their last 20 defensive possessions, the Ravens have forced only 2 punts. 2. 1 per game. Everything else has been touchdowns, field goals, or the end of the game. No turnovers. No big stops. No momentum-changing plays. Just slow death, drive after drive. And the offense hasn't been able to cover for any of it. Let's not forget, this was supposed to be a defensive team. A throwback to the Ravens' roots. Big plays from the secondary, pressure from the front seven, turnovers leading to short fields for the offense. That was the identity. But instead, this defense is breaking, not bending, every single time it matters. The bend-don't-break philosophy only works if you actually make a stop eventually. This group just keeps bending until the scoreboard breaks. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support keeps us bringing you the latest news on the Baltimore Ravens. And hey, drop your take in the comments below. We want to hear from the flock. In what could be one of the most shocking moves of the NFL offseason, whispers around the league are growing louder. Saquon Barkley, the dynamic running back who electrified fans with the Eagles, is reportedly abandoning Philadelphia to don the purple and black of the Baltimore Ravens. Sources close to team insiders suggest that discussions have been intense, late-night calls filled with urgency and strategy, as both sides work to finalize a deal that would reshape the landscape of the AFC and NFC alike. Barkley, whose explosive runs and uncanny ability to break tackles made him a cornerstone in Philadelphia, seems to be seeking a fresh challenge, or perhaps a better alignment with a team he believes can take him to the Super Bowl. The rumor mill hints that behind the scenes, there have been multiple meetings with the Ravens front office, signaling a mutual interest that could culminate in one of the most talked-about free agent signings in recent memory. Fans are already imagining Barkley weaving through the Ravens' offensive line, adding a new dimension to a squad that has long been known for its dominant defense, but has often sought a game-changing offensive weapon. Social media has erupted with speculation, memes, and fan reactions ranging from disbelief to cautious optimism. Eagles supporters are reportedly stunned, grappling with the notion that a player who once embodied their rushing attack could suddenly be a rival in the AFC North. Meanwhile, Ravens fans are buzzing at the prospect of Barkley bringing his trademark agility, vision, and breakaway speed to Baltimore, potentially transforming their offensive playbook and giving quarterback dynamics a fresh spark. While no official announcement has been made, the persistent chatter suggests that this is more than just idle speculation. If Barkley does indeed make the switch, analysts predict a ripple effect across the league, with defensive schemes already starting to consider how to contain one of the most electrifying backs in recent memory. For now, all eyes remain on the Ravens' headquarters and the social media feeds of NFL insiders, as the sports world braces for what could be an unprecedented mid-off-season blockbuster. The saga of Saquon Barkley and the Eagles may be over, but the story in Baltimore is just beginning. An unfolding drama that promises to keep fans on edge until the first snap of the next NFL season. Rumor or reality, one thing is clear. The league is about to get a little more thrilling. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay in the loop with exclusive news on our Baltimore Ravens, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what the flock thinks. Drop your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next one.